stability on the street.
Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to what is my first run on my TRX6 Hauler. I do have a few mods done to this truck. I wanted to run it stock, but it was super rainy for an entire week when I first got to this thing. So I kind of got ahead of myself and did a few mods already. Nothing too serious. You'll see them posted up already. I have a couple other videos made. Check out my playlist if you want to get more info on those. But essentially it's just silicone inserts in the rearmost tires. I have some little coil helper springs that I added to the shocks on the front axle and the rearmost axle. And then I also added a sway bar, and it's just a very basic sway bar you can find on Amazon. So check out those videos if you want more info on that. And I have to say, I did drive this thing briefly in the parking garage where I live with a truck strapped to the back, and it just seemed pretty unstable. It swayed around a lot. And once I did these mods, it made a huge difference. Decided to come out and run this thing on this trail, which is it's not the most difficult trail, but you can see here a lot of the rocks I'm going through really start swaying this thing around, and it did extremely well. It was way more capable than I thought it would be. I was really happy with the driving experience, and honestly, if this is as far as the performance went with this truck, I couldn't be happier. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. I can throw a comp crawler or another rig on the back. I can drive this thing through the trails up to a really good crawling spot, unload the truck, play around with that thing, load it back up and come back. And that's exactly what I wanted this for. I wanted to have like a little transport vehicle where instead of just grabbing a comp crawler and hiking up to a spot, I could throw it on the back of this, drive up, drive back, and kind of make the entire experience more enjoyable. So you'll see in spots where this thing is just lifting its front wheels, like crazy, left and right, sometimes both. And that's simply due to the fact that there's an extra 6.5 pounds sitting over the rear axles here. So I don't think there's any way to really stop that. I did order up some front portal weights, and I'll probably add a little bit of extra weight to the front axle in terms of C-hubs and knuckles. But a lot of that is just for added strength as well. I definitely need to get a stronger servo in there, and once I do that, I think I'm going to start seeing a little bit of flex in the front end. So one way to combat that is to just start adding some stronger parts, some brass or aluminum parts. But ultimately, I think just adding a little weight to the front of this should help, but you're never going to really get that forward weight bias when you have a truck sitting on top of a truck. It's just not going to happen. So I'm not too worried about it. Seeing how well this thing did already with just extremely basic mods, like I said, I could be happy driving this in this configuration. It kind of did everything that I wanted it to do. So if it gets better from here, now of course I'm not going to stop here with the modifications in terms of performance. I'm going to keep going and trying to make this truck work even better, but I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Honestly, I was happy with the power system for this type of driving. Was fine. You'll see here I do get into a little bit of a jam. I just pushed the limits here a little too far and had a bit of a rollover. I should have stopped there. I mean, I can't get out of this, but I tried, and boom. But anyway, yeah, as far as the power system goes, it's all stock. Everything is stock on here. I didn't even change this into crawler mode. This is still set up in what Traxxas calls trail mode, which is a forward brake reverse. It does supposedly have drag brake in neutral, which it does. It's decent. It's not great. I had since learned that if you set it into crawler mode, not only does it change just forward to reverse, but it also has what Traxxas calls hill hold. And just messing around in my shop, it feels like it has at least twice as much drag brake in that setting. So I did go ahead and change that. So for the next drive, I'll have it set up that way in crawler mode. I didn't think the drag brake was going to change, and that's why I didn't bother changing this at first. So, but I was wrong. So it will actually get better. So I didn't really see any need to swap out the ESC or motor right away. It does well enough as is. On the other hand, the servo, a rig this heavy needs a really good servo. The stock servo is like just kind of adequate. Like it kind of worked. It got me through the trail. I will say that. Nothing broke. It didn't burn out. you know, so it did what it's supposed to do, but it definitely stalled out a lot. Anytime I was descending something, a lot of weight on the front wheels, it would just stall out. It just had no strength to turn these wheels. But, you know, luckily, I think what actually helped is having all that weight over the rear end of this truck keeps the front end light in most situations, and the servo was able to kind of do its job. But it definitely needs to be bumped up to something, you know, pretty high power. I'm not going to go too extreme. I think I'm just going to do like a direct power flash hobby or a 9 iMod, you know, something in that $50, $60 range that will put out an honest 50 or 60 kg, and I'll just run a direct power from a 3S battery, and this way I'm not kind of overstressing this ESC. Because I think that's the other issue here is, you know, this servo would definitely do a lot better if you had an external BEC or just something like a Hobby Wing G2 that has a higher output for the servo. Run it at 7.4 volts with a higher amperage, and I think it would actually do much better. I don't even know if I'm gonna mess with that though. I think I'm just gonna go direct power and just be done with it. Since making this video, I have done a lot of mods to this truck. One of them, and probably the biggest one, is just widening the bed. I made my own wood deck bed. I did 15 millimeters wider on either side, so it ends up being pretty much exactly 10 inches between the rails. And what that means is all of my crawlers will fit on there without the tires hanging over like you see in this video. So it worked out really well. It's super simple. If you guys want to see a video on that, I will have it posted up soon. It was pretty inexpensive and easy to do. I also have a lot of the CC hand accessories that I just installed in this, and I'll have videos for those too. I have the headache rack, I have a roof rack, I have all the body accessories like the grill, the door handles, the mirrors, the grab bars, little vents on the side of the hood, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. I have more stuff coming on the way, and I really want to kind of do this thing up a lot more scale than it is. I have some lights I got to install, and I'm gonna make some ramps for the bed that I made, and it's coming out really great. It looks amazing. I can't wait to get this thing back out and give it another run with all the mods done to it. I have also gone ahead and installed silicone inserts in both front wheels. I will likely eventually do the center axle at some point, just because I think running through water like you see there is just going to deteriorate the foam at some point. But yeah, and you see I have a video on that too. You can debond the back of the tire and just pull the foams out and put some silicone inserts in it. It's not what I would call an easy process, but it is inexpensive. The inserts I'm using are about $8 for a set of 4, and they really work out nice in this truck. They're kind of just the right stiffness, and I think it's a really good mod. It adds a decent amount of weight down low to also help with the stability. So I also have a center skid coming for exactly this reason here. You end up dragging the belly of this truck over pretty much everything. It has such a long wheelbase, which is great for stability, for climbing and descending, but it really bellies out a lot. Here, had a little encounter on the trail. He doesn't know what to make of the crawler. Does he want to see it closer? So at this point, the bear actually started walking toward me, like he was really curious about the truck, and he actually followed me for a little bit. I turned around, started walking down the trails. Every time I looked back, he was kind of coming my way. So I was like, let me get out of here. It's a little bit sketchy. He was big enough where I didn't want to mess with him. So left him alone and decided to take a different path. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully you can see how well this thing is working. I really had so much fun with this. My original intention was to take this truck off the back and go up and run it and do some testing with that. I had so much fun with the hauler. I never even took my Ascent off of the back of it. I just drove it like this the entire day, and I had a blast. It's so much fun. I really love driving this truck. I have a lot of mods coming up, and yeah, like I mentioned earlier, check out my playlist. Consider subscribing if you like this content. Hit me up in the comments if you want any additional info, and I will do my best to get back to you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Later.